Do you find Leatherman tools too expensive, or you can't carry one because they're not legal carry due to the locking blades? Well, keep watching and I'll go through two great options for alternatives, including this fantastic zip-up pouch. Hi YouTube, today I've got an update on my Leatherman replacement kit, and I can show you a couple of changes that I've made to this kit to replace my Leatherman rebar. And also I've got another option here for a more flexible pocket pouch. So I'll be going through that. I'll show you which one I've picked. You might have guessed already. First of all though, I'm just going to go through and remind you of why I needed to replace my Leatherman. This is my Leatherman rebar, which I've shown before. It's got some great tools on it and a lot of them. But one of the problems is that the blade, both this serrated one and the main blade over here, are both locking. So that's a big problem here in the UK. So if you're a tradesman and you need it for your work, you're fine. But as general carry, it's not UK legal carry. So without a good specific reason for carrying it at that time, this is not legal carry. So as well as the pliers and wire cutters, and you've got both the standard pliers here and the needle nose, as well as those, there are the two knife blades, one straight, one serrated. There's a saw, a can opener, two sorts of flathead, an awl, and a file. So there's a lot of tools on here. Oh, and a good Phillips screwdriver. So there are a lot of tools on here to try and replace. Now, I don't use all of these, but in trying to replace them, I came up with another kit that would also fit in a not too much bigger pouch and have some of the basic tools that I use on a regular basis. Let's take a quick look at that. So here we have the Knipex tool pouch. This fits on a belt. It's got Velcro here, and one of the good things is that you can hold that down so you can get access to everything on here. I'm just going to take the tools out that I've used to replace the tools on the Leatherman. So first of all, there are the Knipex pliers. So the Cobra XS, these are excellent. Along with that, I've also got the Victorinox Walker, which has a combination blade, a main blade, and one of the big benefits of this particular one is that it has a saw. It also has a toothpick and tweezers as well. So let me just close that up. So that's the Walker. I have a bit set. Now this is quite a big one. I could cut that in half and just use just some of these. Along with that, I've got a bit extender, and I've got the ratchet from the Toolkit Ratchet Rocket Light DX set. The two changes that I've made with this, I've got a very small pen, and I will be doing a video on mini pens later. So I'll talk a bit more about that then. And then also I have the Lumen Top flashlight as well. So this replaced the Olight i3T EOS that I had in that set. And mainly really because one of the other carries that I have when I don't need a toolkit, I also have this pocket carry as well, which has the Zebra Expands pen in. Here's the Olight flashlight, and then in here I've got the Pioneer X A-Locks, which is a great pocket knife with some great tools on it. I've got a video about that as well. Anyway, that's my version of covering quite a few tools on the Leatherman rebar. Now the only problem with this, and you can see I've carried it quite a lot, everything fits in here really well. Let me just put this back in quickly and try and talk while I'm doing it. So it fits in here well, and I can't really complain about the space or for the tools, and it's really easy to get them out. I think the big problem for me with this, the real problem, is that this is a little bit too bulky to fit in my pocket. You can see it's quite a bit thicker than the Leatherman case. And I've realized I actually don't like carrying something on my belt. So that's been the biggest problem for me. I found it useful, and between these tools, I wouldn't say I use them all on a daily basis, but I've certainly used them frequently. For instance, when I've been adjusting radiators, not bleeding them, but just adjusting them, this has been really useful for the lock shield valves to make it easier to do that. I've used the ratchet a lot for IKEA furniture and things like that. And even if I've needed the saw on Victorinox knives is excellent, and it cuts much larger branches and things than you would expect. So I have used it a fair bit. The flashlight is more of a secondary one, as I have one on my keyring as well. But I found this really useful, just not very pocket friendly. So what I've been looking at, and you may have guessed from one of my other videos that I've done, I've been looking at the Viperade VE10 as an option to replace this. So I could just take the tools out. Let's just do that. Put that to one side. Now, the good thing about the Viperade is it has a zip and everything is fully enclosed. So that was one of the things that I liked about this, but I can fit the Knipex in and a bit set quite easily. Let's put it on the other side. I can have the ratchet and the extension here. I can fit the walker in. Let's put it in the elastic so it's held in a bit better. And the flashlight and the pen quite easily. And you can see it's actually quite narrow. So it's not much heavier than the Knipex pouch. It's a little bit bigger, but it fits in the front pocket of jeans or chinos. So it's a nice size. It's fully enclosed, so it feels safe and nothing's going to catch. There isn't an option to have it on your belt, but if I liked a belt carry, I'd go back to the Knipex. I can certainly recommend this pouch. I've put it through its paces. It's got a bit scuffed up, but it's held up pretty well. I'm not sure how well the elastic would last over time. It depends what you put in it, but for the few months that I've been carrying this and using this, then it's worked out really well. And certainly the Velcro's good quality, so that's lasted. So what I want to do, instead of we could just use this. So the Viperade VE10 is really good. I want to just reassess the tools that I've got in it. So what I'm going to do is put out all of the tools that I think could go in here, because I know I had some comments about not having wire cutters. So we'll look at some options and then we'll see what sort of weight we get. If you remember that my Leatherman Rebar, which is a perfectly good Leatherman, although I'm not a huge Leatherman fan. And obviously the problem with having everything on one set of tools are you can't combine the two, which we'll see some good options for that later. But this weighs in at about 220, 222 grams. So let's look at some other options and see where the weight comes out. The other thing with the Viper VE10 pouch, and I think with all of these pouches, the key thing is not to overfill them. So if you look at the thickness, we want to keep it as slim as we can in this way and make sure it's not too bulgy, so it's comfortable in a pocket. And worst case, if you don't like carrying things in your pocket, this is great to go into a sling bag or a work bag or a rucksack, so it works really well. I really like the flexibility of this. And the zip, I've used this a lot. The zip works really well. It's a YKK zip. Just before I go through the tool options, I just want to go through some of the tools that I always have. So I always have my my keychain carry here, which has a flashlight and it has the Gerber shard. So I already have a few tools on there. So a reminder, I always carry the Midnight Manager, and this has a flashlight, a pen, scissors, a small sharp blade. It has a nail file with a small flathead, and then it has this combination tool with a cap lifter, wire bender, and a small but very good Phillips screwdriver. So I'm always going to have those with me in my pockets. The Midnight Manager fits in my fifth pocket really well. Let's have a look at some other options for tools here. So if we're looking for pliers, one option is the Knipex, or you could use any small pliers like this. The benefit of these ones are that they have some wire cutters in. Now, they aren't especially good, but they're just ones that I had already. You might want to have a utility knife, such as the Milwaukee Fastback, which works really well. The big benefit of this is that it has a bit driver as well, so that could replace the bit driver and a knife. The only problem with that is it's quite bulky, it's quite heavy, and it's quite thick. And one of the things about these pouches are you don't want to bulk them out too much, but it is an option. Another option, if we're looking for nuts and bolts, is to use a very small adjustable spanner like this. So it's still a bit heavy, but it's small enough to fit in the kit. The other option around sockets is the Victorinox. Now, I'm not sure this is still available, this L-shaped tool. I think they've replaced it with a more expensive ratchet, but it's still an option. I think you can still get these on the second-hand market. The other thing to consider is what sort of bits you want, and I've used this yellow bit holder because it came with a cheap L-shaped driver, but these are really good. The other thing is you can cut these in half, so if you just wanted 4 key bits, you could do that as well. I tend to use these Draper bits as top up as bits get lost or broken or damaged over time. Another driver is one of my favorites, which is the Ratchet Rocket. So that comes with a bit extender and with the ratchet here. So this works well as a kit as well, and I've used this a lot when cycling. Other things to consider that you could include. We could include a pen. So I've got a mini pen here, or in one of my other kits, I've got the Zebra Expands. The Zebra Expands is a really good pen, but it does come at a little bit heavy. Other things to consider are maybe if you want to have some form of fire making. A couple of options there. The clipper, which is disposable, but it's also refillable. Or I have a zipper with a butane insert, so that could also fit in the kit. Other tools to include possibly could be a screwdriver. This Stanley 4-in-1 has 2 flatheads and 2 Phillips drivers. If it wasn't for the fact that I had scissors on my Midnight Manager, then you could include a small pair of scissors. So that gives you some flexibility around the sort of knives that you're carrying. And talking about knives, other options for knives, the Victorinox Bantam is amazing, really. You get a decent sized blade, and then you have this combi tool, which has the combined can opener, cap lifter, wire bender, and a flathead screwdriver here, and also a pointed end which can be used for a Phillips in a pinch. But the real benefit of this is that it's super slim. Other knives to consider, maybe if you just want a single blade, Then the Boca Atlas is good. Alternatively, the Imperial Sodbuster. I've done videos on all of these as well. There's the Walker, which has been discontinued, but it's got the saw on it. So if you need a saw, that's another good one. Or if you just want a really small, light, super slicey knife, then the Spyderco Grasshopper is excellent too. And finally, if you wanted to have some form of sharpening, you could include the Victorinox dual knife sharpener or the Falkniven DC3. So that's pretty small as well. I think the point I'm trying to make here, I haven't just put a load of tools down on the table, but the point I want to make is that when you have a kit, and particularly when you have something like this, it gives you flexibility. So EDC is different for everybody. I think there are a few basic needs like making fire, having a knife, having some sort of screwdriver set, maybe some sort of pliers. So I think they're common to most people, but really it depends on what sort of day you have. If you work in an office, you probably just need scissors, maybe a knife, maybe a couple of screwdrivers, you know? If you're out and about more, then that would change. So you might need a bigger knife. You might need a stronger pliers. You might need wire cutters. So thinking about your day and what you need, and a kit like this based around this Viperade VE10, I think gives you a lot of flexibility, especially you can have pocket carry. If you want to bulk it out a bit more, but carry it in your bag, then that's going to work too. So what loadout have I decided on? Let me just go through that. So I'm just going to put this away. It's my Midnight Manager, as I said earlier. This is going to be with me in my fifth pocket if I'm wearing jeans, or it just slips into any pocket if not. So we're just going to put that to one side out the way. My keyring carry, I'm moving that out the way. Now remember, on there I've got some small scissors and a knife. So I will want a secondary knife, but I can remove the scissors. Next, I want to think about some pliers. Now, I'm definitely going to have the Knipex because I love these. I find them so useful. For me, wire cutting isn't so important, but if you wanted to include them, small pliers with wire cutters like this do fit in this Viperade VE10. But for me, I don't need to cut wire, so I'm moving that out. I can use these as pliers and as an adjustable spanner. So because of that, I can take out this small adjustable. Good as it is, I prefer the Knipex. Thinking about screwdrivers, I really like the Stanley 4-in-1, and I often have that in my work bag. It would just about fit in here, but it's a little bit of a stretch. It's a little bit bulky for what you get as well. And there are only 4 screwdriver heads in here, so I'm taking that out. I've decided that I don't need sharpeners with me on a day-to-day basis. I'm always going to have a sharpener at home, and if I really needed to, I could put one of these in my work bag. So I don't think I need to have a sharpener in my pocket. Looking at the options for fire, I think I'm going to keep the clipper in. I love my Zippo, and I love the butane on this. I don't know if you can see it. It's really good. So I will have that in my pocket sometimes, but I'm maybe not going to have that in my kit. But I'm going to keep the clipper for now. The Milwaukee Fastback is excellent, and I think if I was going to do something where I don't want to mess up a normal knife blade, I would definitely carry some form of utility knife. The Milwaukee Compact is pretty good as well, but so I'm going to just take this out just because it's big and heavy. For the pens, the Zebra Expands comes out and my small pen there stays in. So now I'm just looking for a screwdriver option. Now either the Victorinox set or the Ratchet Rocket is fine. The benefit of this is that it's all in one. It doesn't have a ratchet, but you do have both a long reach and a high torque option on this. It's not magnetic, but it does hold the bits well. But it's not quite my favorite, and it's a little bit heavier. So I'm going to leave that out. And I think you've probably guessed it. I'm going to go for the ratchet rocket and the extender that comes with it. So I can move these bits out of the way. I'm going to keep this bit set. It's not bad. I think I might cut it down because I don't use the Torx much, not while I'm out and about. It's mainly a flathead or Phillips. I could probably do with just switching that out, maybe for a hex as well. So I'm going to take a look at that. But anyway, so I'm going to keep those in for now. I don't need the rest of the ratchet rocket kit. Finally, knives. So I think generally I don't need a saw. In what I do, I mainly work in an office or home base. If I'm home, I can have access to a saw. If I'm out and about doing some bushcraft, then this could be useful. I also have the Victorinox Hunter, which has a few more tools on and a slightly bigger saw. And if you want an even bigger saw, then if you go for one of the 111mm Victorinoxes, you can get good saws on those. So I'm going to take that out. As much as I like this is something that I might have as a pocket carry. So this sod buster, it's a great simple knife, a nice sharp blade. It was cheap. It was less than $10, less than £10. So I don't mind messing it up, but that could easily slip in another pocket sometimes. So looking at these last three, I think I would just alternate between them. The Grasshopper is a little bit on the small side, and it just has a blade. The same with the Boca, really. I mean, I could easily put this in, and it has got a nice size blade. But really, the Bantam A-locks, when you look at the blades, yeah, it is a bit smaller, but not so much. And for most of the stuff I have to do, this is plenty. Plus, I have a cap lifter and can opener as well, should I need it. So I'm going to go with that. So let's see how these fit in. So I can put the Knipex at the back and the bits in here. There's room for the clipper, for the ratchet and the extender, and I can put the Bantam in here as well. There's room for a pen. So when I put those together, one of the benefits of this is you can see it's still pretty thin. Let's do a comparison. So compared with this, it's bulging out a little bit, but not so much. I think I could probably tidy this up a bit, and I think I've had these slightly different when I've been carrying this. So let me just try and sort that out a bit and see if that's a little bit thinner. That's better. So that's pretty good. I think there's still a bit of space as well. So let's pop in a second flashlight as well. It's always good to have these, particularly at this time of year when the nights draw in. So there we have it. So that's got the flashlight as well. Let's get my scales out and see what the damage is weight wise. So just a reminder, the Leatherman Rebar is coming in at about 220 with the case. Let's see what this is. So 299. That's not bad, actually. The other thing to consider is this is my wallet. Now, I have a few cards in here. I also have another wallet tool, which I sometimes use. In case I don't take anything else out with me, I have this wallet tool. But if you look at this, in comparison, it's not hugely different in size. And the other thing is, if you've got cards, you could easily fit your two favorite cards in here. as well. So you don't necessarily need to carry a wallet as well. I often have my fix-it kit with me, especially in a coat pocket. There are some options here as well, things that I could include that don't take up much space. So I have a Fresnel lens. So this is great. It has a ruler on it. You supposedly can use it to start fires. I haven't tried that yet, but I will do in the summer. But it does act as an emergency eyeglass replacement. So that fits in there really, really well. Other things I could consider, I could put some band-aids in. So here I have a tick removal tool. So I could deplete some of the things in my fix-it kit, such as including some duct tape or super glue or even a sewing kit. So I could move some of these into this to make it an all-in-one and save me having to carry two things. And I think there's still a fair bit of room in there, but it definitely fits in a front jeans pocket, as long as they're not like super tight skinny jeans, which at my age I don't have jeans like that. In walking trousers is perfect, and especially if you've got cargo pants on one of those big pockets, this fits perfectly. Now I have been trying this out. You can see it's a little bit scuffed up, a little bit dirty, but it has worked really well. So that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Is this a decent update from the Knipex? Is it a suitable replacement for the Leatherman? As I say, I'm not a big fan of Leatherman. The benefit of having this format, which if I hadn't explained, I'll just go through again, is that I can, with the combination of this ratchet rocket and the Knipex pliers, I can get on both ends if I've got a screw bolt. So that works out really well. So as I say, let me know in the comments what you think about this. I'm really interested. This is my latest version of this. I'll keep looking to see if there are some improvements. What do you think I've missed? Which would you have kept and maybe thrown out compared to what I put in here? I love your comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It lets me know that I'm making the right sort of video. Why not check out this video or this playlist? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.